What's upper?
Man, I was so tired last night for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, I, I was in the mood for some chicken, some more chicken.
Some more chicken?
And I'm like, where could I get some good chicken wings? And I couldn't think of it on my way home. So I stopped at Popeyes and got like a 3-piece, which I really didn't want, but I ate it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And Lauren came back here and sat in the other recliner next to me. She was reading a book, and I was trying to watch a little bit of Laker game before I got up and took a shower. And all of a sudden, I was knocked out, and so was she. And I actually got up about 2:40 because Rod went out last night with his friends,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, man, I never heard him come back home. So that's what made me actually finally get up and check his room to see if he was home. So he had texted me at 12 and told me he was on his way, but I didn't hear my phone. I was laying on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, all is well. But I don't know why. I mean, we didn't have a hard game last night. I don't understand why I was that tired, but I was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But
the interesting thing for me, um, I was a little tired too, and I wanted a honey bun last night, and I wanted to go get it, and I just decided that the give and take wasn't going to be worth it for me. Like the take was going to be worth it, like to get back home and eat that honey bun, but to go get in the car, and it was late, so Braylon, it would have just been Braylon and Kayla here, but only for like 10 minutes. I just I was like, so 7-Eleven, it's like 3 minutes away. If it were only 2 minutes away, then yeah, but it's 3 minutes away. I gotta get out of the car. I gotta walk inside. I was trying to figure out, like, can I do Instacart for a honey bun? So I finally just got to bed, said forget it. Um, so yeah, but I'm in a stretch right now of 9 games in 7 days, and I've got five. Wait, is that right? 4 of those days, yeah, in 7 days. 4 days, 5 games done. So I still have one today, two tomorrow, and then one on Monday, and then I should be done until after Christmas. Like I have a week off. Um, but yeah, it's an interesting little stretch. Working with a lot of different partners, working different teams, working different levels. It's been an interesting little run. And then of course got the chance to work with you yesterday, you and Gershon. So that was cool. You got to work with Gershon. We had interesting. I mean, I won't say where we were, but interesting exchanges with the table, and it all goes back to being prepared, right? Having great communication skills and being ready for anything. And I thought that those of you who were at the table talking to that person, because I wasn't even over there during that, I thought you guys did a good job of keeping your heads and all of that. So cool.
that table, that table, that table.
We got through it. I don't know if you saw the game report, but I put it in this morning. Oh boy, Tommy Loera, he can't get in. Dude, all you have to do is click on the link. You have a master's, right? Oh, poor thing. Um, what? Okay, so just so you guys are aware, Tommy Loera was going to come on, but he can't figure out how to click the link and hop on like my dad can figure out. Um, so as much crap as Tommy talks, boy, that's got to be embarrassing. I can't figure it out. So anyway, um, had a ball with Rod yesterday,
Yeah,
and my guy Gershon. See if I can find this picture.
yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was from New York, but he mentioned something. He mentioned New York yesterday, and I'm looking now. He has a 718 number. I
Yeah,
just
when he text in our group text, I saw it was it was New York on it. Um, so I was like, okay, it kind of makes sense because he has that New York look to him. But
I'm not gonna touch that one, but okay, cool.
yeah, he definitely doesn't look like a California, laid back type of guy. He has that
Oh
New York
yeah,
look
yeah.
to him.
Okay, okay, I can live with that. Trying to pull this thing up. Oh, here it is. Wait, no. Oh, this is it. That's funny. I opened it, but I didn't realize it was open. All right, so this is your people from last night.
Yeah,
That's that's us after the game. We got that in. Good stuff, Rod. Glad that you made sure that we did that. Um,
man, we've worked enough to not have one.
yeah,
That's what I'm like, man. We've had too many games to not have a picture of us.
true, true. So that's that. All right. Um, I have a game today. I probably won't be commemorating it. Probably won't be taking a locker room shot. I don't know about you, Rod, but
Yeah,
I
nah,
won't be. All right.
not today.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into it. We got a little bit to talk about. We've got the transfer portal. We've got um the exodus of Urban Meyer. We've got the entree of Isaiah Thomas. We've got uh I should have been ready for this, but I wasn't. My bad. Um, I know that we're gonna do this podcast, but I didn't know your boy was going down again. So
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
we got Rod's favorite player, Anthony Davis, down again. Poor thing. On the floor, grabbing my extremities for you. Nah. All right. So hopefully Anthony Davis is okay. I wonder what the odds are, and I'm not a betting man, but I wonder what the odds are on the Lakers missing the playoffs. Um, I've said for a while in this space that I don't think that they will make the playoffs, but we'll see what happens. I do, however, think that my guys up north are going to bring home another ring to the Bay, but
Hey
we'll see what
man,
happens.
the brightest part of the night was Isaiah Thomas as a Laker, and he came in and put in some work.
19 points. Let's get into it.
19 points.
What do you think of
Um,
Isaiah Thomas here in LA, right?
man, that's a much needed boost for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like he should have been on the roster from the beginning of the season. And I guess it takes scoring 70 in the Drew and 42 in your debut G League game to even get recognized.
Mm.
Because that's what he had to do to even get a blip on the radar, which is
Okay.
sad considering this dude is an NBA veteran who was at one time, like an MVP candidate. Someone should be checking, any smart GM should be checking regularly to see this guy's status
Wait, no, Rod, he won MVP. He was the MVP.
of the NBA.
Yeah.
Okay,
That
I didn't
year
know he won.
he won MVP, but it was the year before the contract. And okay, keep talking. Maybe I'm wrong. I've been thinking this whole time that he actually won MVP. Maybe he was just in the running. My bad.
Yeah, I
Go
think
ahead.
he was just in the running. Um, but
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, he finished fifth. My bad.
um, you always check to see a guy like that who's still young enough to play. You always check their status. You're not doing your due diligence if you don't figure out if this guy still wants to play and whether he's still healthy or not. Because that's instant offense. if nothing else, it's instant offense. So I'm glad he's back in the league, man. I'm glad he's a Laker. That makes me actually want to tune in to Laker games.
But is it so? Then, are you going to be disappointed with how the Lakers fare, or just still excited about how he
I'm not
does?
gonna be surprised
Okay.
after watching them play. But like I said, it's the Lakers, and you can't figure them out. And after January 1st, they might play completely different. We don't know.
Look,
Because I saw the way they were playing a few years ago and said the Clippers, and then boom, Lakers just kill everyone. Um,
wait a minute. Are you okay? Back up. Are you trying to compare the Clippers to the Warriors? Is that what I just heard?
no,
Oh,
no, but
okay.
a few years ago, well, not a few years ago, what we started this last year, it was like the Clippers had put together a nice team and were the team to beat. Um, and when it came down to it, the second half of the season, they didn't want to play, and the Lakers, not only dismantled the Clippers, but they killed the Bucks and everyone else in their path
Hmm.
for a 2020 championship. And that particular year, the Lakers were not playing well the first half of the season. So that's when I'm like, I can't figure this team out, because based on history, you know, there were statement games. And each statement game they had, they lost. And so I had to kind of change my thinking on NBA past and say, well, maybe teams don't care about statement games no more. Or maybe these Lakers didn't think about statement games no more. Maybe they just figure, well, we'll save this for when we meet them in the playoffs, or when we meet them after the All-Star break or something. Because I mean, LeBron shut the Greek Freak down when they met in 2020. Um, he could do Greek Freak could do nothing with him on offense or defense. So, I'm like, well, which Lakers are going to show up this year? Are they just slow out the gate again? But this year, they just don't play any defense at all. It's like if you play against them, it's like working in the layup line. You can just go get a layup whenever you feel like it. Transition defense is terrible, and you don't have shooters. Well, Wayne Ellington is there now, and Malik Monk can shoot, but what I see out of him, he can shoot on the offensive end, but he can't guard anyone on the defensive end. So, I don't know, but I know Isaiah Thomas makes it worthwhile for me to tune in and watch. And as well as LeBron is playing, I think back to uh, when the Lakers added Dwight Howard and Steve Nash on the team. And I remember that year, Kobe was like, oh no. With the names alone, even though Dwight Howard was not playing well at all, Kobe just went on a rampage and was like, I refuse to let this team not make the playoffs. So he completely, I mean, there was a game, there were like a 10-game stretch where Steve Nash, of course, was out again. I can't remember if he was taking his golf bag out of his SUV or something and hurt his back, or something crazy happened. And then Kobe switched to point guard and had this run where he was averaging like 13, 14 assists. And I mean, just completely switched his game for what the Lakers needed.
Hmm.
And I'm waiting to see LeBron switch his game to what the Lakers may need, to carry that load. If you're going to be out there for that many minutes, um, if he has the pride that Kobe had to do it, because Kobe's pride would not let him fail, no matter who was on the team. Um, which is why I just really don't get this disrespect that he's never spoken of in the GOAT conversation. Um, I don't know, but yeah,
Well,
it's,
well, great points. You know where I'm at with that, and I think you'll be waiting. I don't think that you're going to see from this gentleman what you saw from Kobe, because I think that Kobe was just a different kind of dude, and I think historically speaking, people need to fall in line around James. It's not so much James adapting. It's like, hey, I'm going to give you this volume. I need you guys to fill in the blanks. And if you can't, then we're just SOL. But I just want to go back to your Clippers pick really quickly and just play a clip from a song called One Way Flight by Benny the Butcher featuring Freddie Gibbs. It's going to be really quick, so you got to listen. Okay. Just, yeah. Get
I like that.
and send home early, just like the Clippers. Is you with it? Yeah, that I love that every time I play it, and it's on my motivation playlist, and it's also on my game time playlist that I set up for football, but I've still been using in basketball. It's called One Way Flight. So shout out to Benny and Freddie and them. So Tommy figured out how to say hello on Facebook. Hello, Tommy. But Tommy, the athletic director, where he is the athletic director, can't figure out how to click the link to just to join us. He said it's too complicated. So I don't know. Maybe if we put it in an officiating manual, he could figure it out. Because his mechanics are pretty crisp. But I guess technology is not his forte. So shout out to Tommy. Tommy, thanks for joining us. Tommy's like, I've never been shouted out on a podcast. We got you, T.
You two been going at it back and forth for the past 24 hours.
My man. Oh, and his play calling. He likes his play calling too, if he does say so himself. Yeah, so we talked about it. Isaiah Thomas is here. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing for him. It gives a different look many different looks to the Lakers, because you can use him a lot of different ways. And I love the fact that he just didn't skip a beat. Like, the dude just went right to scoring. And it was in a losing effort for the Lakers, but I think at this point most of the Lakers' efforts are losing efforts. They are under 500 now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So probably doesn't get any.
Speaking of Tender Love Davis, he went down more than once last night.
Well, so here's the thing. You were telling me that, and this is the part that I forgot to say, and I'll let you expand in a second. I think that Steve Nash, the Lakers' Steve Nash, is Anthony Davis's training partner. Because if you think about all the time Steve Nash was injured during his 2 months with the Lakers, and I know it was more than 2 months, but he couldn't get on the court. And I think that maybe Anthony Davis is using Steve Nash's training plan, and that's why Anthony Davis can't stay on the court. I still can't believe that he made it through. Like, he landed okay on that 3-point shot in the playoffs, and I can't believe he made it through the trophy ceremony. I would have thought that he would have tripped over the division line or something. But yeah. Well, if you want to talk, all right, shout out to Roddy T. What's up, Roderick? So he's saying trade Anthony Davis for Karl Anthony Towns. Minnesota, right? Minnesota probably doesn't want him. They want Karl Anthony Towns. But
Cat was killing AD last night. That's probably why Roderick is saying that.
But listen, tell me your perspective on this. I want you guys to go back to talking about trades, right? When Shaquille left, and I love I love Lamar Odom, right? Just because it's Lamar Odom. But I wanted, and I want to know what you guys think about this. I wanted them to trade Shaquille O'Neal for Jermaine O'Neal. I thought Jermaine O'Neal was the missing piece. What do you guys think about that?
That would have been a good trade. Jermaine and somebody else, not just one person.
No, one person, one for one. I mean, I know the salary wouldn't work, so yeah, it had to be more
Well,
people.
no,
But
Shaquille by himself is worth several people. So
but just how okay, but it was overweight Shaquille who didn't want to be here, so he wasn't performing, and Jermaine was in his prime. That's what I'm saying. I thought you could have just inserted Jermaine
oh yeah.
for Shaquille. No, this listen to what I'm saying. You could have it could have been a swap. I know the cash doesn't work, but I'm looking at it like it's a swap, and the way that um, Jermaine O'Neal was so invigorated at the time and just ready to do work. I thought it would have been it. And I don't think that Lamar could have carried that burden alone. Or who's our guy that came with him? Um,
Uh,
the guard.
the
Can't
wing
remember
player
his name. Huh?
from the wing player that ended up
That's a
with
New York dude.
um
What the fuck was his name?
Karan Butler.
Karan Butler. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Karan Butler.
I like Karan Butler a lot.
And I wish he could have been on that championship team.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But I disagree that Jermaine O'Neal was soft. I've never seen him play soft ever.
I think he was saying AD. I think he was just continuing his thought.
Oh, okay.
But he's saying hell no to Jermaine O'Neal. That's interesting.
No,
We got nothing from Shaquille. So remember, Shaquille went back to the gym and got in shape for Mickey Arison. He was like, well, my owner asked me to get in shape. I get in shape. And I was like, well, why wouldn't you do that for the buses?
Right.
That's interesting. Roderick,
but that
you forgot my hold on.
Reply was
my oldest friend.
I get hurt on company time. I work out on company time.
I rehab on company time.
Yeah.
Roderick, my middle name, that's embarrassing. My middle name is Eric with a C. The fuck? This dude, like I haven't known anybody longer than him that I still talk to, and he doesn't remember. And see, I actually use my middle name. He doesn't use his, you don't use yours. I use my middle name. People should know. AEC 360 Anthony Eric Carter. It's literally right there at the top of the page on Facebook, Rod. Anthony Eric Carter. That's fine. That's fine, Tanel. Roderick Tennyson. I forgot your last name. All right. So I just wanted your thoughts on Jermaine O'Neal. Okay. Moving on from Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, he was doing AD last night. That may have been why AD went down a couple of times. Faking an injury just to get out of there. No, he really did roll his ankle, and when he left the first time, I saw it. And someone ran into his knee. I didn't think it was hyperextended. I didn't understand how he walked all the way to the tunnel, but then had to lay down and be lifted up and couldn't make it a few more feet to the locker room. I don't know if that was an attention thing, but it was very dramatic to me. So I don't know, but this injuries just follow this dude. He's super soft. And I just posted on Facebook the other night why they encourage him to shoot jump shots. And he's shooting 19% from three. I didn't know it was that bad, but anyone who knows me knows I've been yelling. If this guy is supposed to have all the tools, the Lakers have no shooters. Why won't he post these players up and draw fouls? He's supposed to be the complete big man. So
it's a simple answer, Rod. I don't know why you don't get it. If you bang inside, then you have a chance to go down.
Yes.
And he goes down religiously.
Yes.
And this is funny. 19%. But here's Antoine Walker, who he fashions himself after, a big shooting threes, 32.5% career in the NBA. Your guy is like half of that with his 19%. I mean, it's more than half, but slightly more. That's too bad.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
Antoine was the original stretch four. He could do it.
I used to call him Twinkle Toes because I didn't like that he didn't like to go inside. But man, if I called Antoine Walker Twinkle Toes and he wasn't afraid of contact, what do I call? And he didn't go down. What do I call Anthony Davis? Oh, Tender Love. Shout out to Anthony Cobbs. Shout out to Anthony Cobbs. Oh man. What else you got, Ron? You want to talk? We got the lockout. We got Urban Meyer.
You know what? There's not much being said on the lockout.
I know you think there's a conspiracy.
Yeah, it's just funny how there's not much in the news about it at all. And maybe they're trying to do it differently to avoid the pushback they received from the last baseball lockout, but I don't know. It's just ironic to me that there's really no coverage about it. And I know there are other things going on, but a baseball lockout is big. Any lockout is big in professional sports. And there's no updates about whether they're getting closer or if no one's coming to the table or anything. It's just kind of like, oh, the lockout's going on. This team signed this person during the lockout. Just no big deal. Just little tidbits. Yeah, so I guess we can move on to Urban and pro football. So we had some games moved from today to beginning of next week.
No, from tomorrow. Dude, it's so early. We're still not. This is only Saturday, right?
Yeah, the
That's
Raiders
the
and
crazy
Browns
thing.
were supposed to play today.
Oh, there was. Oh, who was supposed to play?
Raiders and Browns were playing today. There were 2 games today.
Oh, that was always today.
Yes, that
I
got
didn't even
moved.
know that.
So now,
there's now no games today.
No games today.
So I get my Tuesday instead of today. But you guys moved to Monday.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
What was the other game that was supposed to be today? Was it the Philly game that moved to Tuesday?
Yeah, that might have been it. Been it.
So that means, do we have games on Christmas next week? Or are they all the day after?
Let me see. There are games Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Next week.
Yes.
After Christmas, you're saying.
Well,
good morning, Elaine.
What's the date on Monday?
Is that 27th? 27th.
This coming Monday?
Oh no, the 20th. 20th.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about after Christmas. The 20th.
Oh, after Christmas, I don't know.
Okay, so the 20th is Monday. You lost your train of thought?
So 20th, 21st, and 22nd, there are games.
What? Oh my goodness, I'm loving it. We got football Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Okay. All right. Hey, I want to play a clip real quick. Coming home, I was playing NWA and Above the Law, and I was playing some other stuff, but just this takes me back. Yeah. About the fake ass troops. And how far? Man, Black Superman. They had him, man. They had him. They had those hits. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
All right. What's up, Dietrich? Dietrich checking in, loving the podcast. Appreciate that. Elaine is here, straight out of
Yes.
Texas. What's up, Elaine?
Man, she left us.
Yeah. Her air quality improved.
And her gas prices.
Gas. See, I had a mind to counter her post with me going to the gas station. Oh, I don't, but I didn't. Loving the fact that I was at Harbor College yesterday, and they had the structure open, even though school was out. They had the structure open, and I charged my car for free. You know, not all of the schools have EV chargers, and then even the ones that do, not all of them are free. But it's just very helpful to just for them to just give you that energy, because I don't think anybody gives fuel away. Anyone. Rob, remember when gas went over $1?
Yes.
Well, actually, you do remember when gas was free, because that was a perk for anybody that had a car back then. There was more gas than cars.
My 89 Honda Accord, and it was sitting on like 99 cents forever. And then it went over $1, and I just lost my mind. Like, what am I going to do now? Yeah.
I remember I was at the gas station across the street from the Slauson Swap, cat corner to the Slauson Swap meet. It was a 76 station, and it was 99 cents, and we knew that it was going over $1 the next day. So I put that gas in my VW Beetle, and the next day it was over. And I remember the frenzy when gas went from like 150 to 175. I was like, oh, I'm at Costco. I'm not paying them crazy prices. Now it's over $4 at Costco. It's crazy. So, Rod, tell us about your 1889 Honda Accord. I didn't even know they had Hondas back then.
I saw it down there. I went.
Tell us about it.
Hey, man.
Right. When $5, man, you ain't never lied, Dietrich. $5 will literally get you from the gas station to the next gas station.
I would throw $2 in my gas tank in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Get to where I needed to go and come right back.
Now you throw $2 in your tank, and your tank is like, when you gonna do something? I'm still empty.
Right? That's enough to get me started.
I remember those days. I had some cars where once you ran out of gas, you needed a mechanic. Like, you couldn't just use a gas can. They need that something was happening to your car because you weren't supposed to run out of gas in it. And I was like, man, those were the days. No money. And sometimes even if you could come up with the gas money, you still couldn't get going. And then I had so many alternator problems back then, and I'd be riding around ready to ask somebody for a jump. Can you imagine pulling over today and asking not pulling over, but your car won't start, and then you got to flag somebody down for a jump?
Yeah, people still do.
Yeah, it just, yeah. Oh, well. Okay. So, NFL. I distracted you. So we got games moved and all of that. What else you got about that?
Well, I saw some kind of report from CBS that they were getting ready to talk. They were talking about benching Derek Carr to bring in Mariota for the rest of the season, as if the Raiders are not still in the playoff chase. When you got several teams ahead of them, 7-6 and you have them at 6-7, anything can still happen. Um, but I guess they just kind of figured this season is a wash, and I don't know if they're just going to tank for the rest of the season or what. But that's just idiotic to me, because if you sit him for the rest of the year with 5 games left, you're basically saying he's not what you want and he's due for a contract extension after this season. So it would make no sense to give it to him, which means that if you're not going to go in with a quarterback, you're going to have to start, the team starts all over again. And they're that close. They were that close to being a legitimate team before the coach uh, was exposed and before Ruggs decided to get drunk and drag race down the street and kill a person. Um, they just have to fix the offensive and defensive lines and get a safety, or a deep threat. And the defense actually at times plays well, but they definitely still need a safety that can cover. Um, Abrams is not it. He's
Mm-hmm.
never he's never even in the television screen during passing situations.
You gonna keep
Like
you?
you see him like the video games where I can't remember where that video game where you'd be running for a touchdown and a defender would come like out of the side of the screen out of nowhere and everyone would be hollering, "Where did he come from?"
Yeah.
I can't remember which video game that was, but it was back in the day, and that's how he normally enters the picture. Like, oh, where did he come from? But he's never involved in passing situations. And then you have Frayson playing corner because Mullins was hurt. Frayson was signed to the practice squad from somewhere else and then became a starter and has started like the last 7 or 8 games. And he's been getting picked on every week. So obviously the secondary is a sore spot for us. And then the offensive line, because Josh Jacobs is averaging 2.6 yards a carry. And he's supposed to be this legitimate first round back. So either it's him or it's the line. And I say it's the line. I don't think that Josh Jacobs, but then Josh Jacobs is not durable. He goes down every 2 or 3 games with something.
He trains with Anthony Davis also.
Probably. So to put it on Derek Carr with no threats on the outside at receiver is just beyond ridiculous to me. Um,
So
and if he does leave the Raiders, I hope he goes on to have a great career with someone, because I know the Saints would want him. I know there are several teams that would line up to snatch him in a heartbeat, um, and put some weapons around him. But I don't understand the Raider thinking.
so all right, let me get caught up real quick. Elaine mentioned not having toll to get across the Bay Bridge, and it's only 75 cents. Yeah, I can't say I was ever there, Elaine, because when I lived up north, I had some money. But I get it, like growing up there and being in a situation where you don't. But I've had, and then I guess you could just avoid toll roads out here. But I imagine like not being able to take just toll roads and having to sit in traffic. But the bridge, there's only one way over. So yeah, that's crazy. I feel you. I don't know if Dietrich's being facetious or not because he's not a Raiders fan, but he's asking if Rod is saying the Raiders are tanking. And I don't know if that's a real question or if it's facetious because Dietrich and Rod have had a little back and forth before. So I don't know. Elaine is validating Derek Carr. Kayam keeps claiming that he's going to come on the podcast, but the invitation is open. Like Rod, you can see it in the calendar. The dude is on it, and he never shows up. So whatever. Talk about it. Don't talk about it. Be about it. And then Michael Benjamin agrees that the line is terrible, but he also doesn't want Derek Carr. So okay, so you could work through that. I just want to throw the standings up here real quick because I've got some questions for you, Rod. So this is the AFC playoff picture, and to Rod's point, the Raiders are a game out. I mean, yeah, they're 12th, but 7-6 gets you all the way up to the sixth spot. I don't know about all the tiebreakers and all that, but seemingly the Raiders could go to 8-7, and depending on how these other teams do, they could be sixth.
Right.
I
Well,
mean,
they've beaten the Steelers. They've beaten the Broncos. They lost to the Bengals. They would have played the Browns today and still play them Monday. And then there's Buffalo and Indianapolis. So,
yeah.
they still play the Chargers again. They lost to them, but they can even that. And then we don't know how long um, Jackson is going to be out for the Ravens. And we don't know if the Titans are going to be able to hold that record without Derrick Henry. So there's a lot of factors, man, to just all of a sudden say, "Oh, we're just going to stop playing our starting quarterback and we're just going to play for next season." Like that's dumb when you're in the mix, right in the thick of things. That's ridiculous to me.
So Tennessee and Indianapolis are in the same division, and then it's Baltimore with Cleveland and Cincinnati, right?
Uh, yeah.
Okay. The
Now I see
Baltimore,
what.
Cleveland, Cincinnati, the South, Tennessee, Indianapolis, the North.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I see my man Mike B is on. He says he went to the Washington game. But Carr has no weapons. They allow Carr to complete underneath because he has nothing to work with on the outside. And there were media people saying he was missing easy reads uh, or throws. And if he's they showed that same weekend um, they showed Russell Wilson missing open players. I mean, like there are every game you can point to a player running wide open for any team. So I don't buy that because there are certain places Derek Carr definitely knows how to read a defense and knows where to go with the ball. Um, but the receivers also have to be smart enough to know that if you need 7 yards, you need to get that defender back 8 or 9 so that you can make sure you get that 7. You have to run past the first down marker. You can't do a comeback route and catch the ball at 6. And then we have a right tackle who Gruden drafted that false starts every third and short. We're never in third and short because it's almost a guarantee that Leatherwood, the tackle that came from Alabama, that everyone said the Raiders were dumb for choosing that high. He's he's proven that these people were right because mentally he just doesn't have it. Um, and the offensive line was just completely dominated by just one player for the Kansas City Chiefs last week. Chris Jones was in Derek Carr's face every snap. They could do nothing with him. Um, so I would rather judge Derek Carr by him getting a legitimate receiver. Like all of the quarterbacks ahead of him have legitimate receivers. Kyler Murray has several legitimate receivers. Um, Patrick Mahomes has several weapons. The Raiders have one, Waller, and Waller's banged up. So he didn't play last week and he may not play this week. Um, They like to say Renfrew, but Renfrew doesn't scare anyone on the outside. He's strictly a slot underneath possession receiver at best. He's not gonna go by you. He's not a deep threat. Deshaun Jackson just got there. He doesn't know the offense yet. And then you have Zay Jones, who's basically in his second year, um, and Brian Edwards, who's in his second year. They're too young, for you to say, "Oh, Derek Carr should be doing this and that." He doesn't have a running back, Mike. He doesn't have an offensive line, and Brady never had bums at receiver. Never, never. Brady had receivers that fit their system. And if we have receivers that fit our system, it would be a completely different story. Um, and Brady had two dominant tight ends at the same time. You couldn't get better than Zonk and what's the one who killed himself? The gangster. Um, Now all of a sudden I can't think of his name. The one who
No, I
was
know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name either.
yeah, but you couldn't get better tight ends than that. That dude had a mismatch on both sides of the field and a run game. And exactly, Dietrich. He's always had a defense that could get the ball back. Hernandez, thank you, Mike. And we don't have any of that. We cannot stop the run. Running backs just run through us like Swiss cheese. Is terrible. So if they up that line on both sides of the ball, get a deep threat like they had with Ruggs, because Ruggs was only a second year receiver, but was just starting to get into his own. That's why Carr is leading the league in passing so early in the season. Ruggs was the difference maker. You stretch the field, you can't. That's what everyone's doing now. They're taking a page from Kansas City because Tyreek Hill is a game changer. So now it opens up everything. But if you don't have a deep threat who could actually catch the ball, you can't play in today's NFL. And the Raiders don't have that. You can't be one dimensional. And that's what they are. You don't have to even play the Raiders for the run because the line is not going to block for Josh Jacobs. They only rush the quarterback like it's a passing down every play because they know chances are Derek Carr is going to be throwing the ball. And that's too easy for the NFL. You can get away with that maybe in high school, but in NFL you can't do that. You can't be one dimensional. So I don't blame Carr. And do I allow that he could have a bad game here and there? Yes. Everyone does. I mean, Tom Brady just threw 4 interceptions 2 weeks ago, but the defense got the ball back.
All right. So I think you addressed all this stuff, Renfro and Waller, all of that. So Dietrich mentioned 7%. It looks like it's down even further to 4.4. But I, if there's hope, there's hope. And for me, when you still have 4 games to play, then that's that. But I guess the other side of it would be, and I know Rod, you have an answer for this, but I'll just play devil's advocate. Is it really tanking if you pull Carr and put Mariota in? Um, do you believe that they would no longer be trying to win if they put Mariota in? Do you feel like he's that much of a drop off? And to Elaine's point, I know that Carr's putting up some numbers, like he's second in passing right now. But Rod, what do you say specifically to those who say they've got a better chance with Mariota?
He's second string for a reason.
Okay.
He's not in Tennessee for a reason, and he was a number 2 overall pick. So while he may look good on a down or two when they put him in for a gadget play, we're talking about the entire game. Um, and Dietrich, I think Jackson used to do everything Ruggs did, but at 35, he's not running 4.2s anymore. He's still very fast, but And like I said before, he just got there a couple of weeks ago. He doesn't know the offense yet. Um, and it takes time for them to get some chemistry. You can't just throw someone in there and a receiver and a quarterback all of a sudden are automatically on the same page. That's like that hardly happens. They need some time to work. So, and it took Ruggs a full season from his rookie year. He had absolutely nothing going on his rookie season. I'm like, this dude is a bust. Um, but he actually learned how to catch the ball between last season and this season and was having a great year. Just running streaks because he wasn't really running and catching anything underneath. He's just catching go routes. But because of his speed, you had to have safeties back there. You had to have corners laying off 10, 15 yards at the line of scrimmage. That opens up all kinds of stuff. They're not giving Deshaun Jackson that kind of cushion anymore. Now you got DBs that run 4.2s regularly. So it's not the same. I think some of these owners and GMs let their emotions get the best of them without looking at the big picture. Um, and some don't,
You
and the
think?
ones don't continue to win, and the others, they may listen to fans or listen to whoever, and that's why they continue to lose.
All right, cool. So Rod would have you believe that what's his name? I always forget. Who's your least favorite defensive back? What's his name?
Abrams.
Abrams. So Rod would have you believe that Abrams is the epitome of
Yes.
ineptitude at
Yes.
the position.
Poster child.
And I would argue, Dietrich, weigh in, because I know you actually watch the Raiders sometime. Is he worse than Ambry Thomas, Dietrich?
Yes.
No, I know how you feel. I'm asking Dietrich because God bless his heart. Ambry Thomas, you talk about not being in the picture. He was a video game. Like it was almost like he was point shaving. And I know that he wasn't, but and we still won the game. But Dietrich, please weigh in on Ambry Thomas and tell this man that this dude, like I swear that he was on the Long Beach Poly practice squad. Like he he couldn't have been on the 49er practice squad. And it was just like all you had to do was just get it, whoever he lined up against, just go that way. Because he had illegal hands to the face on an interception, illegal hands to the face on a sack. So both of those are negated. He had PI, and he got toasted every time that they went his way. And Dietrich doesn't seem to be typing right now, so maybe Dietrich's not here anymore. But I was impressed with Joe Burrow just overall. But part of that was the fact that he knew to just Dietrich agrees. He knew to just go to whoever Ambry Thomas was on. It was wild. It was wild, right? It was like you talk about playing pitch and catch. That's all it was. But let me give you guys the NFC standings real quick. We had a little stumble against the Seahawks 2 weeks ago, but last week we handled business in overtime against Cincinnati in spite of Ambry Thomas. So we hold the 6th slot right now, and if we look at matchups, Green Bay, as of right now, Green Bay's got a bye. Washington's going to Tampa. We will be going to Arizona, and that 4-5 Rams and Cowboys. That'll probably have big ratings, and I don't like either one of those teams. So, as far as upsets are concerned, I think that the Rams Cowboys game will be a pick 'em. It will be a great upset for us to beat the Cardinals, but I think that we can, and I don't think that Washington's got a shot this year against Tampa. But we'll see what happens. I don't expect it to stay like this, but that's what it is right now. And then in the hunt, you have Cobb's Eagles, the Vikings, the Falcons, the Saints. Sorry, but we'll see what happens. All right, Urban Meyer, Rod's favorite college coach, came to the NFL, and it looks like things didn't work out. Rod, do you take back all the good things that you've said about Urban Meyer and how much you love him?
Man, all I can say is I don't see the hype about Urban Meyer. I never have. Another emotional hire. Hey, he was great in college. He'll do well in the NFL. No, it's not the same animal. You know, it's not. Those gimmick plays from college don't work in NFL. Um, and it was just all bad from the start. I mean, you bring in an assistant coach who's had issues with race, and you come out saying, "Oh, I vetted all my assistants. You know, he's a good guy." Well, obviously not. Obviously, you hired him knowing he had this baggage, and you just didn't care. If you say you vetted your assistants, you just didn't care. You just figure, oh, you know what, that'll blow over, or that was passed, as if some of these African American players are going to just let that slide. It's not going to happen. That's how you get a divided locker room. And you got some guys who will say, okay, we cool with it. And you'll have some guys that say, hell no, get him up out of here. I'm not playing for him. And plenty times in pro sports, you will get players that just decide not to play for a coach. Most
Yeah,
famously, Brian Billick when he was with the Ravens after the Super Bowl. Those players just decided we're not playing for you. You can go, and he got fired.
yeah. Um, Now that Super Bowl, I was at. I was there. So, um, and that was the last time that I flew regularly because 9/11 happened after that. Um, because and so I always remember, and I didn't fly frequently back then. So, obviously that was in January, February. And then 9/11 happened 7 months later. And I did wind up flying in September, and it was in a completely different world 7 months later. Like everything was lax in, even for the Super Bowl, it was lax. Whole different story, obviously following 9/11. I was at that Super Bowl, and it just reminds me of Shannon Sharp um, refusing to talk to the press. And he came in there just to say, are you kidding me? Like, you guys, Sugar Ray is not on the Wheaties box? That's what y'all doing?
Hmm.
He's the best player on the team. He's Super Bowl MVP, and he's not on the Wheaties box. I got nothing to say to y'all. And he walked out. Um, I got chills when he was talking. Um, yeah, I just wanted to say that. I just remember I'm getting chills now just talking, thinking about that. Um, but yeah, having been there, that was truly an experience. I've been to a number of Super Bowls, but that one was pretty deep because of that situation. Um, and then another one that was pretty awesome for me was the Indianapolis Chicago Super Bowl, where you had two black head coaches um, facing off in the Super Bowl. It was amazing. You had Tony Dungy, Levy Smith, Devin. Obviously, I was going for Indianapolis, but you had Devin Hester return the opening kickoff, and I don't think Chicago scored again, or maybe they scored a field goal after that. But yeah, that was intense. Um, I was also at the Tampa Raiders, and I remember that just because I was so happy for the Tampa players, not happy for Chucky, but happy for the Tampa players, just because I'd been through all of that with Dungy, hoping that Dungy could break through, and he finally broke through in Indianapolis, so that was great. Um, and then I hated that Jerry had to finally have an L in the Super Bowl, but I wasn't. I don't want the Raiders to win. Come on now. So there was that. Yeah. All right, so Urban Meyer's out of here. Rod's depressed. Rod's now protesting the NFL because Urban Meyer was his guy. Where do we? Where does Jacksonville go from here? Trevor Lawrence says now they have clarity, and I mean, what better time to have clarity than when you're 2-11? Um, you know, I mean, they got enough losses for next season too. But I'm clowning because that was us last year. Um, but we had a plethora of injuries. Oh, Dietrich feels me on this. I have no sympathy for anyone who has injuries. I have no sympathy for the COVID protocols, all of that. Our entire season was wasted last year because of injuries. We were a Super Bowl contender until we had to step on the field and everybody was injured. And we're still dealing with injuries. That's why Ambry Thomas is on the field. We're on our 13th string defensive backs and our 13th string running backs. And it's almost like we have a running back factory because we just keep turning them out. Don't we, Dietrich? Anyway, what else you got? Anything else in the NFL? Or are we done with the NBA and the NFL and Major League Baseball and what's left?
We got a second player from Australia who feels victimized by racism.
Okay. Talk about it.
She says that Australian officials are saying that she needs to tie her hair up because she has locks. She says that that's a racial thing because the white girls are not, they're letting hair hang in certain instances and don't have to do that. And not only did they tell her that she couldn't play, but they made sure to instruct the arenas and the officials. Now, how would you like to be an official on that game to have to tell her, hey, look, you know what? The league said we got to tell you to tie your hair up or you got to sit. And you got to be there and ref the game, but be the fashion police.
But that's not even Rod, that's not even basketball. Like, even if you had something stupid like that, it should just be an administrative technical, one free throw, move on. You talking about she gotta sit?
She
And
said
it's
she
and it's
cannot
nuts
get on the
anyway.
floor.
And it's nuts. Because we can do that with uniforms. Like we tell them, okay, tuck it in, tuck it in. And if they won't, we can actually send them off the floor, even at the collegiate level. But you just like, hey, do it, get it done. Tell the coach. But this hair thing is nuts. Her hair is not in the way, and they specifically said braids. It wasn't
Yeah.
like they just said tie up long hair. They said braids. So the natural flowing hair is all good, but you got a problem with braids? This is disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And I don't know why, Rod, you continue to watch Australian basketball when they do things like this. Like that's not cool at all. You should, I mean, you protest the NFL because Urban Meyer got fired. You should be protesting the ABL. You should be. This is ridiculous. Okay, so do you even know her name?
No, I don't have it written down. But
Written down? What is this? 1920?
yes, I
Hold
still
on.
write things down.
Australian basketball braids. I just want to get her name. And then Tiffany Mitchell. Shout out to Tiffany Mitchell. Tiffany Mitchell, you are being wronged. I support you.
Yeah.
All right. If I say Rodman, who do you think of?
Dennis.
Not so fast. Trinity Rodman, Dennis's daughter, was named National Women's Soccer League Rookie of the Year. So shout out to Trinity Rodman. She was named Rookie of the Year, I think 2 days ago. So good for her. All right.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I guess we can go ahead and deal with the elephant in the room. Mr. Hunter and his decision to go to Jackson State.
Yeah.
So I posted the other day Doug Gottlieb's little rant on his show. I was just, my blood was boiling just listening to it. And he says, he got DMs in his inbox calling him a racist or telling him not to speak on issues he knows nothing about. And he went on to say he knows all about those issues. Um, he was a player who was recruited, and recruits follow coaches, and most of the time they do so um, when they shouldn't, because coaches could leave, and then it leaves the players out to dry. So he's insisting that Deion Sanders wants a Power Five job, that Hunter followed Deion Sanders to Jackson State, but that it was an obvious mistake. Um, because Deion Sanders wants a Power Five, has interviewed with Power Five schools throughout the state of Texas, but didn't get the job. That's what he said. Um, that once Deion gets the job, Deion's gonna leave, and the players at Jackson State will just be left stranded out there. He says that he doesn't understand, with the great facilities and the alumni support that you receive after you finish school, the atmosphere, um, the training facilities, the locker room, weight room, and everything that comes with the Power Five school, how a 5-star recruit would choose a school like Jackson State over Florida State. Um, and I knew from the beginning he was clueless, because as much as he says he knows about things, Doug Gottlieb, you obviously have never been to a HBCU homecoming. Once a recruit goes to a HBC homecoming, it's checkmate. You can have all the facilities you want. With these young African American boys, 18, 19 years old, they get to go to a school who has players who look like them and see some of the most beautiful women on earth who look like them. Your Power Five school doesn't have that. That's first. He says that this player would not get the same kind of coaching that they would get at a Power Five school. You can't tell me that Kirby Smart or Nick Saban can give him the same kind of tidbits playing that position corner that Deion Sanders can. You can't tell me that. Neither one
Well,
of
I
them
could tell
played.
you that, but it would be a lie.
Right. Neither one of them played defensive back, first of all. And if they did, they didn't play. No one has played at the level of Deion Sanders. Why wouldn't you want to be groomed
At
by the
corner,
player
right?
who's considered the greatest defensive back in the history of the game? You can't trade that. So that kind of stuff, man, it had my blood boiling. Um, I went to a HBCU, Howard U, um, and I was there when Dikembe Mutombo, who was the first guy I actually met in DC, was there. Alonzo Mourning was there. A couple years later, Iverson was there. Those players from Georgetown lived at Howard. They didn't go to Georgetown because the Georgetown experience was just so great. They went to Georgetown to play for John Thompson. So, to his point, yes, they follow coaches. But at the same time, when it came to school atmosphere, when it came to what they wanted just within the university, they came to Howard. They didn't miss a function. You can't trade that. You can't trade that for 4 years where anywhere. And I've been to a predominantly white school. My brother Kenny shout out my brother Kenny Sadler, went to Cal. I had several friends
No,
that went
sorry. He
to
went to UC Berkeley. Get it right.
he
Okay,
went to
go.
Berkeley.
Yes.
But I had several friends at UCLA, Fresno State. What it's Long Beach State. The atmosphere is not the same. I go to Long Beach State's quote unquote homecoming just about every year. They don't have a football team, so they do it during the beginning of basketball season. They have this barbecue, and they have a bunch of alumni who come around and they shake hands with each other and they eat quietly. And some of them may go to the game, most of them will not. And that's the extent of the homecoming. There are no festivities at Howard and other HBCUs. Homecoming lasts a week or two. They have a fashion show. They have an alumni party.
Car
They
show.
have a breakfast on Sunday. They tailgate
A
Saturday
step
morning.
show. Step
They
show.
have a step show. I mean, like the list goes on of what's going on. So you actually have to get to homecoming week like that Monday. And if you want to attend everything. Now, if you broke like me and you don't want to spend money for a hotel room for a whole 8 days, you fly in on Thursday night or Friday morning. But for those that do, they get there a week in advance. And quite a few may not even enter the stadium to go to the game. They want to see the Battle of the Bands after the game is over on the yard. And it's a family atmosphere. It's a celebration. Um there is no, hey, you went to North Carolina Central, I hate you, I hate your guts, get off our campus. There's none of that. Like, we talk trash up until the game, and then after the game is over, everyone hangs out together. It's a sight. And we're talking about, a concert on the yard. We've had Drake, we've had different. I remember when I was there, Guy was hot, and we had Guy, and we had Stephanie Mills, and Christopher Williams was hot at the time. He was new. Um, Keith Sweat was hot at the time in 87, 88. We had him. We've had Howard is the epitome of homecomings. You can't get higher than that. And I know some other people will argue, but DC is the place to be for Howard's homecoming. That's why so many rappers rap about it. Um,
What about the
and
early days when you were there, when you guys had Dorothy Dandridge? How was that one?
I knew that was coming. Um, and then he spoke on alumni support.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like I wrote on another page, are we to assume that every time players finish their 4 years at a predominantly white institution, that the white alumni are going to make sure that they have a great job when they finish playing college sports? No, no, that doesn't happen. Now, maybe it's a great alumni support for some of the white players, but you don't get that same kind of alumni support for the black players.
Can I say
It's not.
something about that, Rod? I want to say something
Yes.
about that. It's so true. And I'm going to tell you, there is a school that is, what do we call it? A PWI, that does do that for its athletes. And
Well,
it's,
and I made a general statement, which I'll
no.
back up on
I
that,
only know
because
of,
there are some schools who do.
no, I just want to say, like, because I never shout this school out because, it's tire tread. But Southern California does this. And I've talked to many, many, many athletes that have come out of there and have not had professional careers, but are well situated just because of the the athletic alumni network there. And that's at
Mhm.
USC. I just want to say that. But go ahead and finish your point. I never get a chance to
Um,
say anything good about SC because it's a disgusting place, but they do take care of their former athletes.
but I guess what I was trying to say is across the board, that
Doesn't
doesn't
happen
that doesn't happen.
at all.
Um,
Yes, I agree.
but when you switch that to a HBCU, many people get hooked up, with great jobs, whether it's because they're Greek or because they had an instructor who, put in a word for them, or just an alumni saying, "Hey, look out for such and such," and they do it just on the strength of being from the school. And that's why HBCUs put out the most doctors and attorneys, out of any school. There are plenty black doctors and attorneys in PWIs, but HBCUs put out more of just about every profession than PWIs. Um, and alumni with advanced degrees. So Doug Gottlieb kind of devalued HBC education. Like, oh, you can't get better education. Well, why not? What makes the University of Georgia's education so much better than Howard's or Morehouse? I mean, obviously we're doing something because Howard has an alum who's the vice president of the United States. And the biggest thing is, and and I hope people understand that if you if you have a kid who shows promise to play pro sports, a professional team scouting your athlete, if they have pro potential, will find your athlete. It doesn't matter if you are in LA or New York. It doesn't matter if you are in French Lick, Indiana, or Okeechobee, Florida. They will find your athlete. The biggest thing I can think of is if you get a chance to watch the documentary of uh, the forward for the Clippers, African. Um, what's his name? He plays for the Clippers right now. Played for
What?
Toronto.
Kawhi?
Um, no, African guy.
Oh, I didn't hear the lead up. I was reading something. Um.
Um,
Oh,
Serge
from the
Ibaka. Thank you, Dietrich.
from yeah
Serge
from
Ibaka. They
OKC.
found him running on a dirt court in Africa, in the woods. Now, if they could find Serge Ibaka in in basically the jungle area of Sudan, you don't think they could find your son or daughter in the United States with all of this technology and all of these scouts and people, you know, trying to find the next big superstar? Yes, they can. Yes, they can. So if this five-star recruit at Jackson State develops and Dion develops him, he will still get drafted and drafted high, just like Khalil Mack did, just like Ben Roethlisberger did, just like Carson Wentz did. And they went on to have great careers and they didn't go to a Power Five school. So I knew the pushback was coming. I put it out there on Facebook that once he signed with Jackson State, there was going to be pushback. And immediately, a congressman from Florida pushed a bill to change the landscape and allow NIL deals throughout Florida because like apparently their schools weren't allowing them or just had some kind of obstacle keeping the players from getting them. But within 2 hours, he says, "Oh, I had been working on this bill for 6 months." Well, why all of a sudden, if it's been sitting on the desk for 6 months, that all of a sudden you need to push it in 2 hours of that guy signing that letter of intent? That doesn't even sound believable. Um, and now you got all of these people coming out saying that he made a huge mistake, and then they try to throw in Mercure Maker. Doug Gottlieb said, "Oh, it was a mistake that he signed with Howard for basketball." Well, basketball and football are completely different animals. Um, and to me, if McCure Maker chose to sign with Howard, that was his choice, and it's not a mistake because they no longer things are different from pro sports now. They
Wait,
don't.
let me step in. Let me step in. Big Bailey, that's right. The GOAT went to an HBCU, Mississippi Valley State. Jerry Rice.
There you go,
There you
Walter
go.
Payton.
The GOAT.
Um,
All right, go ahead, Rod.
but people are drafted now on potential. They don't even draft anymore basically on what you did on the field. They draft on potential now. So if this guy in the next 2 or 3 years decides to clear for the NFL and goes and benches 225 16, 17 times and runs a 4.25 40 and shows just even mediocre coverage, they're going to snatch him on day one. It's a fact. I mean, you got too many Jay Cutlers out there and too many Darius Hayward Bays out there to say, oh, these guys have potential. We got to snatch them up early. So, and if you can actually play like Khalil Mack could or Ben Roethlisberger could, you're gonna get snatched up in the top five, top 10, without a doubt. So he spoke on things he knew nothing about, and he tried to say he didn't. But and Doug Gottlieb at one time led the NCAA in assists. Where did that get him? He wasn't in the top 10 when he came out. He went to a Power Five school, should knows numbers, and coming from a Power Five school, have him in the top of the first round. There's no guarantee with anything.
All right. So I got a couple comments. So I actually believe that I believe Lamarca. I believe that he did that it was just coincidence. Because I feel like the pressure had been heightening because National Signing Day was coming. And so it just all culminated on that day. But I feel like he already planned to do that and didn't realize it was National Signing Day. That being said, he went on to say that while he is both a Deion fan and a Florida State fan, he feels like the only reason someone would do something like this is because there's money in the works. So I don't agree with that. I think that's a ridiculous notion. But he goes on to say, or Deion is just good at his job. So no. What I don't like is Lane Kiffin going on to say, I hope all of these players get all of the money that they're promised at all of these schools. That's a jab. And I mean, I've never liked Lane Kiffin, and it's funny because I liked Monty Kiffin. I've never liked Lane Kiffin. Excuse me. And so that's just another reason why. But am I surprised at the head coach at Ole Miss that he would say something like this about players who are predominantly black going to other places? No, I'm not surprised. So there's also that. I did want to give a counter opinion to Gottlieb's, and because it was well put together, I'm going to go ahead and share it, and I'm going to be quick. Because y'all, I don't know if y'all know this, but Rod talked for a long time about
That one had me hot.
the elephant in the room. Rod was going like I had all kind of stuff to say, but here I'm just gonna throw this out there real
That one
quick.
had me hot.
Yeah, I
We're
got you.
not gonna speak on HBCUs and
First of all, it wasn't that surprising, and I know that in the ESPN poll, Max, he's number two. In other polls, this kid's number one. So you can quibble. He's the biggest player ever to make a move like this, and I know people in our industry who were in a state of shock yesterday, but we shouldn't have been, knowing a lot of the things that you have just got through saying about Deion Sanders. I don't care if anybody doesn't like it. To me, this is one of the most significant moments in college football history. It has changed the game completely. And I think what happens now is going to be very intriguing to watch, especially with Deion Sanders. A lot of schools would not get near him in the past, including his own alma mater. And that's what made this, in many people's minds, so sweet yesterday, that he did this. He didn't do this to Nick Saban. He didn't do this to Brian Kelly. He did it to Florida State, a place that he elevated the status of that school. And they could have hired Deion Sanders. Frankly, they could have hired him this year. I don't know why Mike Norvell is still down there. Please, somebody in Tallahassee call me and explain why he got an extension yesterday. They should have fired Mike Norvell 3 weeks ago after he lost to a mediocre Florida team and hired Deion Sanders, and we wouldn't be having this conversation right now, fellas.
Yeah, I know he signed.
All right. So not all members of the media are boneheads. By the way, speaking of members of the media, Art is supposed to become we haven't had Art on here, right?
No.
Yeah. We need to have Art. We need to have Art come on. Anyway, yeah, I just wanted to share the message from Paul Feinbaum. You know, one of the most significant moments in college football history. Bam. And then he wonders why Deion's alma mater didn't take him seriously. That's another thing. But, you know, we can get into that on the next one. We know about how tough it is for Black coaches to get FBS coaching jobs, you know, and then even harder for Power 5. And then to keep them while other people get extended, it's really, really, really interesting. But that being said, shout out to the Penn State head coach who got an extension. And then we'll see what happens with the defensive coordinator that was elevated at Notre Dame. Shout out to him. Yeah, this I believe that this with Travis Hunter will be something to behold. I mean, well, it already is just in that one instance, but I believe that other people will make these moves also. And Rod and I were talking about this offline, I want to say yesterday, and we talk about the fact that it's perceived that Black colleges can't play in the playoffs, and it's not actually that. They are FCS. The Division I ones are FCS schools. It's just a matter of them being taken seriously enough to actually be ranked and to actually make the playoff field. And so that's probably the next step for Jackson State to be, you know, to have some of these other FCS contenders on their schedule and then beat them, and then they'll actually be in the playoffs, and then the game changes. So we'll see how it goes. Rod, I think we need to push it to the closeout unless you want to add anything on.
Nah, we can go to closeout. I'll put a little end in.
All right. Well, yo, this is why does it say the live video has ended? Didn't it? Still going. So weird. Anyway, episode 81 of the Collective Podcast. It's my man Rod Saucier Sr. I am AC from LA, and we come to you every week, most of the time. We've been doing this for over a year and a half now, and you know, we appreciate all of you guys for coming through, checking us out on a weekly basis. We appreciate it. We think that we found a nice little time, like Saturdays at 8 Pacific. Looks like it'll be okay for us. 7 was tough, and doing the weeknight thing no longer worked once we got outside of the summer. Really, it just that was tough. But it's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a podcast. Step 2, think how many week pods you slept through. Time's up. I'm sorry I kept you. Yes, we are back. We have a rhythm. Rod, I need to know from you. What's up, Calvin Dean? Rod, Christmas is next Saturday. We're obviously not going to go live on Christmas. Are you good with Friday morning to come back, Christmas Eve? You want to do it early, or you want to do it a different day? What are your thoughts?
Friday's good.
Friday's good. All right, we're back Friday at 8 Pacific, Christmas Eve. Shout out to us and shout out to y'all. Rod, go ahead and close out.
Hey, man, I just want to say until then, you guys have an enjoyable week. Glad my son is back home from college after this first semester. Walked in after getting back from my game the other day and saw his face, and it's probably no more excitement than you can get when you see your kid who's been 3,000 miles away from home safely back,
At an
um,
HBCU.
at an HBCU, Morgan State. Um, yeah, you know, I think that the fear of all this is when I see certain people of the white media, um, I think they can see down the road and see the big picture. If these 5-star recruits for football in general, well, primarily football, because football normally starts off, that's where the big money is. If these guys start to go into HBCUs, the television cameras are going to follow them, as we talked about yesterday off air. Um, that's going to put people in the stands because the media buildup is gonna lead people to either want to see them win or see them lose. Merchandise is going to be selling. It's going to get big, and that will cut the bottom line of PWIs. And that's the biggest fear, is that that equality will cut their bottom line. Um, the coaching landscape will change because you'll have players who want to play for another Deion Sanders, and that could change because right now, it's those big schools. They hire someone, they have a son or someone, as a ball boy when they're little, and then they grow up, you know, learning things from their dad, and then pretty soon they're coaches or their friends, and it's like a cycle that we hardly ever get a chance to break into. Um, we don't have that same type of legacy across the board, football, basketball, otherwise, on that level of Division 1 sports or professional sports. Um, so I think that kind of thing could very well change if players start to go to HBCUs. Um, and the finances, the resources for HBCUs to build up their campuses would benefit them and benefit the school and put them on a bigger level. I mean, because you have a lot of PWIs who weren't heard from prior to now, these past few years, like a Gonzaga, like a Butler, um, and they started getting some recruits and they started making more money, and now their name is on the map and they're a common household name, and they pulling in money because the basketball teams are going to the tournament every year, and the football teams are pulling in money, and now that's not an issue. They don't have to just rely on alumni giving. They have money coming in from different places, and that's what will help these HBCUs, and I hope it happens. I've prayed for that to happen for years. Anyone who knows me knows I've been screaming that for a long time. Um, with people, telling me, "Oh, Rod, no, nobody's gonna come to a HBCU." Well, brother, sister, whoever you are out there who was telling me no, it's starting to happen. Um, and if my daughter gets recruited, that will definitely be an option. If she's getting recruited by HBCU, I would definitely tell her I welcome her to go. Her final decision, I would leave to her. But I would definitely tell her to make it an option and not just string them along and make them feel like, oh, you're an option, but you're really not. No, be legit. And if it's an option for you to go to one of those schools, then make that an option. And if that's where you want to be, it doesn't matter what other people are saying. It's what makes you happy. And Lauren and I have had that talk already. So have a good week. I'm gonna go prepare for today's game, and I don't know what my playlist is gonna be today. Yesterday it was Little Brother. Today I'm not sure, but I gotta have my ride music, um, and I have to cue it up before I go. So be easy and check us out next week.
The longest minute in podcasting, ladies and gentlemen. 7 minutes later, Rod's 60-second closeout. Yeah, I mean, I got to get ready for my game too. I got to leave in 25 minutes to get to San Diego. Listen, hug your family. It's holiday time. It's a special time, and if you are alone, please, and you need to talk, then please reach out to someone. Reach out to someone that doesn't know that you need to talk. Don't hold it in. If you know that you've got friends that are probably going to be alone during this time, please check on them. Please check on people who you know are going to be alone. Please also check on your loved ones. Hug them, kiss them, tell them you love them. Do all you can to brighten people's lives. Do all you can to help people feel better all the time, but especially during this time. Thanks for coming. Episode 81 of the Collective Podcast. We appreciate you. What are we going to go out to? You know what? I am going to keep it with where we were. Yes. No. I'm not going to play Chin Check. I'm going to play Donnie Hathaway. That's what I'll do. Almost played Chin Check, but all right. We appreciate you. This is AC from LA. He's Saucier Senior. We out.
Celebration Bowl is on right now. South Carolina State versus Jackson State. Channel
There you
7
go.
ABC.
Hang on, mistletoe, I'm gonna get to know you.